back, ladies and gentlemen, with another video, another talking point that I want to discuss today. I want to talk about defunding the police. What does that mean? It's a common misunderstanding that defunding the police means completely stripping law enforcement of all their funding and their power. While some people are indeed calling for the abolishment or dismantling of the police altogether, quote unquote defunding the police simply means reducing the police department budget and redistributing those funds toward essential social services that are often unfunded, such as housing, education, employment, mental health care, and youth services. So defunding the police means shrinking the scope of the police responsibilities and shifting most of what the government does to keep us safe to the parties that are better equipped to meet that incredible need. Now, one leading official, let me read to you this quote right here. One leading official says, "It means investing more in mental health care and housing and expanding the use of community mediation and violence interruption programs." Really? That's what they said. So today's police, what are they? They're tasked with the responding to a vast variety of social issues and crises, from homelessness to mental illness. But they're often not trained in that kind of a thing. Right? It's not something you run into every day. Like the paranormal. They're not trained in the paranormal, dealing with demons. Okay, but more and more now they are becoming at odds with these things such as homelessness, mental illness, and the paranormal. Now, people who call for defunding the police argue that investing in public health and social services rather than in the police is more appropriate and effective means to meet the public safety needs of the community. Really? It's what it says right here. I'm reading it to you. Yes, I am. Listen. It says, it's a more appropriate and effective means to meet the public safety needs of a community. Really? It's better if we defund the police and turn it over to public health and social services? Now you need to think about this for a minute here before you run off and start destroying all the police cars because you're mad at the police, right? So you want to hand it over to public health departments and social services. Okay, so now what you've done is taken one entity and created a bigger monster by taking the bigger one entity and dividing it into several parts and turn it into more problems and a bigger monster. Is that what you're looking for? A bigger monster? You got a monster now you can't deal with, so you're looking to make a bigger monster. Okay. Specifically, these social services, they would address societal issues such as poverty, homelessness, and mental health more directly. Okay, well, that could be true, right? That these social services, okay, when they get more money, what they already deal with is poverty. They already deal with homelessness, and they're already dealing with mental health, but it says more directly. How more directly can they be than what they already are? I'm not talking about money here, I'm talking about person to person. How can they be more better with more money? No, it just makes the monster bigger, right? They're not going to deal any better one-on-one because the cops don't exist anymore. You see what I mean? It's just, it says, acting as a better deterrent to crime than law enforcement. Really? Really? So social services then becomes a better deterrent. A better deterrent because to crime. How can it be a better deterrent to crime when they're going to be too busy dealing with social issues? You see, crime happens today, okay, outside of the social issues. Crime exists right now. So, and they're out rioting and they're causing more crime. That whole crowd of people needs social services, ladies and gentlemen, because they're mentally crazy. They're crazy. They're out of control. Now, as early as June, at least 17 cities, including Los Angeles, New York City, and Boston and Chicago, have proposed some form of action to defund the police. Notice the cities. Take a notice at them now. They have proposed some form of action to defund the police, such as recent changes certainly demonstrate that the protests and calls for change are being heard and considered by government and law enforcement. No, it's not. That's a lie. They're not being considered. These big time cities act like they're all on board with the protesters. But you think those aristocrats, you think they're really on board with you people? You really think that the cities and the mayors are all for you people? No, they're in their private offices probably drinking gallons of whiskey, trying to cope with what the heck is going on in their own towns while they smell rubber burning from safety cones. Now they got to buy more safety cones. And they think burning the trash can has to do with the city. No, that's a personal pickup person. That's a different company. Now they got to deal with burned up, melted trash cans, so they got to buy more trash cans. They build a fire in the dumpsters, now they got to repaint the dumpsters and put new tags on them and writing. It costs money. Right? They're not being considered by the government officials. Now in Chicago, check this out. In Chicago, for instance, the public dollars that go to supporting public health, family services, the Department for People with Disabilities, and libraries combined is about $1 billion. Now, this is what the Chicago Alderman Rosetta Rodriguez Sanchez said, who joined with the city's Progressive Caucus to lead calls to defund the police. So in contrast, the 13,000 member strong police department's budget has grown every year for the past 8 years, reaching $1.78 billion in 2020. And $153 million of that budget is earmarked for police misconduct. Now, ladies and gentlemen, these cities that are riding along with the protesters and considering of defunding the police, starting on the West Coast, Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego, Hartford, New York City, Minneapolis, Chicago, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Boston, Washington, D.C., St. Louis, Missouri, Durham, Dallas, Texas, Austin, Texas. Now, do you see any mom and pop cities there? No. There's no mom and pop cities. Those are all big cities. And if you think defunding the police is going to work, well, yeah. I mean, if you knock the police force down, which is your first enemy if you're on the other side, your first enemy is the police. I mean, you really want at the government, you want to get in that government building and you want to burn the government down, but you got to get past the police. So the first thing you want to do is get rid of your first enemy. And that's the troops. So first you got to knock out the troops. You can't beat them out with frozen bottled water and rocks and bricks. So then you try to use an inside motivation, such as defunding the police, so that they'll get mad and quit their jobs, and they become less and less, or they stand around picking their boogers and they don't do nothing. That's what they want. Now, President Trump is right. He could stop it in 30 minutes with the National Guard. That's federal. But you don't want federal. No. You want civil. You want the civil police. That's what you want, to be knocked out. So in my community, if we knock out the police, that leaves me. Because if you think for 1 minute, I'm going to let you come into here and take over my fortress, you are wrong. This is my house. This is my land. And I'm paying for it. Are you paying for it? No. You want to redistribute the wealth. You want to take what's mine so you can have it for what? So you can rob it and pillage it and burn it to the ground and walk off and leave it? You don't even care. You take a good look at it, people. Defunding the police. It's a clever trick by the other side just to get to the ones that are defunding the police. They're trying to walk up the ladder step by step. And defunding the police is just one step closer to taking over the government. One step closer to civil unrest. One step closer to civil war. Civil war. And you better believe, if we don't have the police, I say this, I contend, and I speculate, it's just speculation, that civil war could only be next. And I'll tell you this also, after they break into the federal building and they kill those Democratic politicians that claim they're trying to help them, and there's nobody left but them, you tell me what the next move is. You think for 1 minute President Trump is going to let that happen? What does it mean? Really? Are you ready for it? Because here it comes.